Speaker, I've just come in and I've found this debate going on, and I've found it a very appropriate debate, bearing in mind, Madam Speaker, that the extension of the mandate or the jurisdiction of the East African Court of Justice is not something that happens in isolation. It's something that must happen in the context of the wider integration of the East African community. Madam Speaker, as I say this, I note with a lot of sadness the happenings in our own country, which go a long way to undermining the spirit of East African integration. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this morning, none other than the former Vice President of the Republic of Kenya, who is also a former Foreign Affairs Minister, under whose docket then this integration process started, was essentially mistreated, and attempts were made to block his travel to a member state of the East African community. Madam Speaker, this morning, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka was scheduled to travel to Uganda on official duty as a chancellor of a very serious university in Uganda. And whenever he goes out, Madam Speaker, you know, Kalonzo Musyoka is an ambassador at large for the country. And the manner in which officers acting at the behest of mandarins in State House treated him goes a long way in undermining the spirit of East African integration. Madam Speaker, there is no law which dictates that a deputy presidential candidate of a leading movement such as the NASA movement should seek permission from State House while traveling out of the country. Madam Speaker, that new member needs to give me a break. He needs to learn how to listen before he interrupts. Madam Speaker, the action that was taken today by officers of the Migration Department, indicating that whenever the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka are to travel out of the country, they need to seek clearance from State House, go a long way in undermining the spirit of East African integration, and also point to a very serious issue in this country. Madam Speaker, such actions can only happen under state of emergency. Madam Speaker, we are not aware of any state of emergency having been declared in this country.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. Is it in order for the honourable member to mislead this House by saying that Kalonzo Musyoka was prevented from traveling to Uganda? Can you prove the substances to this House today and now? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, if the honourable member wants to know the truth, she can go and confirm at the airport. Who am I to substantiate what is the obvious thing, really? Madam Speaker, protect me from the rookies, but the rookie members who want
Honourable
to...
Honourable Wandayyi,
yeah.
You also have to conduct yourself with the necessary decorum of this Honourable House. And you know there are issues that you must be able to substantiate if you put them on the floor of this House. And I don't think we have rookies in this House. So you have to be appropriate in the manner in which you address the members. Proceed.
Much obliged, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what I was trying to put across is that the country seems to be in a state of panic, or the temporary leadership of the country seems to be in some state of anxiety that is difficult to explain. Madam Speaker, the only time that actions that seem to have been taken against the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka today at the airport can happen is only when there is a state of emergency. Madam Speaker, and a state of emergency is only declared with one purpose. When you declare a state of emergency in a country, it means you want to do certain unconstitutional things. Madam Speaker, I am very much aware that there is desperation on the part of those who happen to be temporarily leading this country at the moment to find mechanisms and systems to ensure that power does not slip through their fingers. But, Madam Speaker, there are things you can do with a view to retaining power. But there are other things that if you start doing, then you undermine the spirit of nationhood. You essentially create an impression that this country is no longer governed by the rule of law, is a country which has gone the banana way. Madam Speaker, this House must resist. This House must support the Kenyan public in resisting attempts to reverse or to claw back the gains that this country made under a lot of frustrations and struggles. Madam Speaker, this House cannot sit back and watch as democracy is undermined. As we sit here debating the expansion of the jurisdiction of the mandate of the East African Court of Justice, you cannot be doing it while on the other hand the executive is creating a situation which goes contrary to what we are trying to advocate for through this legislation or through this motion. Madam Speaker, this country has come a long way. Madam Speaker, you will recall that in 1981, those of us who are of age then, in 1981, in this very House, one afternoon, a motion or amendment bill, a bill to amend the Constitution was brought before this House. And the bill went through stages, the 3 stages, the first reading, second reading, and the third reading. That bill's intention was to change the country's constitution, making the country turn away from being a de facto one-party state to a de jure one-party state. Madam Speaker, in this very House, that bill was passed in a record 1 day. We have seen attempts as late as today to reenact the history, to take us back to that very dark time, Madam Speaker, where laws are amended, where laws are made purposefully to serve the interests of a small ruling clique. Madam Speaker, those who participated in that amendment that evening, that afternoon in this House, in the fullness of time ended up becoming its victims. Madam Speaker, the people of this country will resist attempts by the leadership of the Jubilee administration to turn back the clock of change. This country will not accept for even a moment. Madam Speaker, I'm hearing a lot of catcalls from people who need to listen and be educated by myself and learn from a veteran like me. Madam Speaker, you know when I talk to this House, I don't just talk anyhow. I am very clear on the rules of the House, including the rule of relevance. I'm very, very clear. So I can teach them a little bit about that. Madam Speaker, what the country is saying is that we shall not accept the democratic gains to be reversed by a clique that is hell-bent on clinging on to power at whatever cost.
Honorable WANDAYI.
This is very relevant, Madam Speaker.
Honorable WANDAYI.
Very, very relevant, Madam Speaker.
You are an experienced member of this House, and I just want to refer you to Standing Order 106. You need to confine yourself to the matter before the House, to be relevant in the matter that you're speaking to. And you only have 1 minute to go, Honorable
Madam
WANDAYI.
Speaker, you cannot talk about the East African Court of Justice without talking about the injustices happening in the country. You know, it is common sense. You cannot perpetuate injustice in this country and talk about justice in East African community. It's not possible. And therefore we must sound out a caution to those who want to reverse the history that this country will resist. And beginning this week, the resistance has begun, Madam Speaker. The resistance has begun. And if you are doubting our resolve to resist you, then you are in for a rude shock. Madam Speaker, thank you.